Well, it's Dirk. I mean, the dude has a solution for everything under the sun. That's why we love him.
Except missing fingers.
And barrels.
Well, it's because of the missing fingers that he now has a solution for everything under the sun.
Ah, he's wise.
He became wise.
That's the moral of the story, everyone. That's a new Paracast rule. If you're missing fingers, cut off some fingers or mess up your hand, and then you can be smarter. Jared's much smarter after he broke his finger. He'll tell you. Even he will tell you that.
I don't do takedown anymore.
Smarter. Welcome to the Paracast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Joining you in front of the red bed, some laundry over there, some gun stuff over there, some Armani jeans, if you can see them. Anyways, joining me tonight, this one's from Alex Went. Like an Enfield rifle, he cocks on closing. It's Robert Wyatt.
Wow. I mean, that's a little weird, but thanks, Alex.
Yeah,
I guess.
mostly. It's weird. It's a weird one. Whatever. I told him I'd do it. I did. He operates at nights because, as he says, the light burns us. It's Jared Stepp.
I can't tell if that's a Smeagol reference or a vampire reference or maybe both.
It burns us.
Well, Jared's not glittering or whatever, so.
Well, I only have like
vampire.
part ginger, so I guess I'm a daywalker. So I'm fine.
Yeah,
okay.
you could be. The daywalkers are the gays of the vampire community. I think everybody.
Ah, shit.
No, it's true. Bisexual. I mean, if vampires are, the gay ones.
I'll take bisexual. Bisexual. I can do that.
You know what? Here's the deal.
Friction, Tom.
Friction. Marcus Aurelius over here bringing out the truths of life. Everyone can say that they're bisexual, and then you're just like, well, how come you haven't been with a man? And you can always be like, haven't found the right one. That's when girls are just trying to get street cred. Oh, I'm bisexual. You sleep with any girls? Haven't found the right one. All right, fine, whatever. Do what you're doing. What was it? I know somebody who has a very nice ring, and her daughter likes to grab it and then grab it, clutch it in her hands, and say, "My precious." And then when you try to grab her, go as she runs away. So it's it's fun.
Starts galloping away on all fours.
Pretty much. I was since I basically don't shoot matches because I got building a life for trying to do something like that. Anyway, I was like, well, let's practice.
Like some sort of nerd.
Like a nerd.
Jeez, have some priorities, bro.
I'm trying to have some priorities. In fact, I have to send the Department of Transportation my DOT card because I haven't been home to accept the mail. Anywho's, so when I have been screwing around and like messing around with some of the dry fire equipment with that T-Rex Arms dry fire app, which is pretty damn cool. It is a really cool app. And I saw the video that explained the random timer on it. And it's just like, this is a really cool feature that I think most timers kind of need to have. Not like it's a random par time on the timer on the T-Rex Arms app for the drills where you literally bring the gun up on target. You set, you press start, you bring the gun up on target, and then you wait for the beep. And when you hear the beep, you smash the trigger. And so that kind of makes it so that you can't ever guess about when the timer is going to go off. So the hand tension has to stay the same.
Most timers have random starts,
but not random pars. Because the start signal, you could do that, run that as a random start signal, but to have it as a random par where you can go bring it up, let's say draw first beep, you draw, bring the gun up, second beep, hold the trigger on a random par.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. Or you can bring up the gun, press start, and then get 2 trigger pulls on a random par. But it is besides not having like what the old CED 7000s had, which was the dry fire mode, the repetitive mode, it's really good because it plugs into your Bluetooth headphones. So like you can have a headphone in, you can be listening to stuff, you can be pressing it, the audio comes through here, you can turn it up, you can turn it down. It's like really pretty decent, especially if you don't want to keep everybody up. So I was actually dry firing around with the USP, and I was like, man, it'd be fun to go shoot a bunch of production this year. And I was screwing around with the trigger, and I was like, oh man, this H&K trigger on this USP is god awful.
Trash?
Yeah, it's not fantastic. And so I went on the old Amazons. I got some Talon grips for it. I was about to put those on, but ran out of time. And I got some stainless steel polish kit for like a Dremel. And so I popped the guts out of this thing. And it's like, okay, like I have a general pretty good understanding how the internals of these HK systems work. And so I'm like looking at the geometry, the sear and the hammer.
Just round all the hard edges.
Yeah, round our where's this what's this engagement feel like? Let's round that off. Let's round that.
Yeah.
You know. I really don't want the hammer to be caught to catch the single action notch. So I was looking at the sears and stuff like that, and like, oh, there's the HK parts are kind of weird because like the sear's all the way to the left, and then you have your hammer catch right by the sear, and then your control lever, and then your disconnector. So they're stacked up, and then the hammer's in the center. And so it's kind of a weird disjointed kind of thing when you look at it because the sear's catching it way over here and the trigger bar and stuff is messing around with the control lever over here. And so you're just kind of seeing how everything kind of fits together. And so I took like this level 2 grade polish, and then I started hitting up most of all the parts, and I took the finish polish and hit it up. And that polish on that Dremel, mere sheen in like a matter of seconds on these parts. And so I was sitting there looking at this and then playing with it. I was like, okay, that's pretty smooth. And so I finished, doing 7 or 8 parts in the gun just to make sure that everything is connecting perfectly fine. And then I put the spring back in. I didn't take the spring off the main spring, but like put everything back together, put the spring cap back on. And it's like there's still like this big disjointed catch in the middle of the trigger. And so I like pull it out. I pull the spring, and the main spring has a kink in it.
Oh.
Like a 15-degree kink in it. I'm just like, well, that's horse shit. Like,
sometimes that happens. It's natural.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I think that's what a strut's supposed to be. I don't think I seated the strut in the cap appropriately the last time I put it together. So I've been messing around since basically I got the pistol with a crappy hinge in the trigger pull, and so I yanked that spring out, threw it away, took out another one, and took a couple clips off it, 2 coils off that, clipped that thing, and now I have this not Beretta-esque, but very smooth, very gentle double action pull, probably about 7 or 8 pounds, and then the single action is just a nice release, a little stacky because the HK triggers will always be a little bit stacky, but I'm pleased with Punch about that. I pulled that thing out. I got everything polished up. It looks fantastic. I almost took the metal polish out and polished the hammer and stuff like that just to kind of show that it's had something done
Be careful,
to
Icarus.
it. I'm getting too close to the sun.
I mean,
You're
Tommy,
gonna burn.
I'm happy for you, genuinely. That you bought this HK and you've had trouble with it, and so you've gone through and you've fixed it all. It behooves me to say you could have just bought a Shadow 2.
Yeah, I could have.
But
I could have bought a
USP's a vibe, and it does look cool. I mean, I'm looking at the gun Tom is holding, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'd buy one of those, and then
cool.
you get the threaded barrel. Then you could put Silencer Co.'s new handgun suppressor on there. That'd be yes.
Yeah,
I'm Jared, and I approve this message.
I'm just saying. I mean,
I could have spent the same money and bought a Shadow 2, but
and not touched it.
Let's face the facts here on the Shadow, the CZ quality control of late. Probably not the best. As like they got
says the guy with a kinked spring.
That was my fault. That was not the spring that came from the factory. I
he kinked himself, Robert.
But I'm super happy with it.
A long time late at night.
Yeah, a Shadow 2 would be very interesting to pop open and learn how those things kind of work, or like a Tanfo. But this thing is kind of, these USPs are pretty interesting because like the HK pistols, they have one pin up here, and then you remove that pin, and literally 4 main parts of the fire control unit come out, and then so you can just kind of look at those, polish them up, clean them up, and so like cleaning out and they're not under spring pressure or anything like that. It's literally 4 pieces. It's like on the Beretta, 4 pieces that line up on a pin. You remove that pin, take them out, clean them all up, wipe them all off, polish them, and put them back in the gun, even with the hammer under spring tension from the mainspring. And so it's very simple. It's not Glock-esque, but it sure beats the hell out of the Beretta, and it beats the SIG products for sure. So it was super
Well,
sweet.
by not going off when you pull it out of the holster, it beats any SIG product.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking about not going off
That's a
anymore,
feature.
Staccato went
Ooh.
back to from 1970s technology, well before
Ooh.
that, to 1980s technology, and put a Series 80 firing pin block in a 1911 and stuck Glock mags. It was as the HD P4.5.
Yeah, buddy.
What are we thinking
Honestly,
about this, Jared?
I actually think it looks pretty snazzy. I'm curious. The main thing is I am curious because they did a couple implementations that we're going to see how if it's going to make it better. For instance, getting rid of the grip safety, a lot of people are pretty happy about that.
Yep.
If you look at the actual slot, the frame profile, there's little ledges where you can actually have positive contact with your thumb, which is that seems pretty like a good idea. That seems interesting. It's cool that it's completely ambidextrous. It also seems cool that the slide release has been elongated just a hair, but it also looks like it's not like in the way. So that looks interesting. The mag release now, like I said, it's ambi, so that's a
Yep.
boon. That's a pro. Glock mags, pro.
Well, not just Glock mags. So like
Yeah,
here's
Mechgar is coming out with their brand new metal Glock mags, and it's funny because I've actually seen a lot of chatter about people like, dude, I'm more excited about the metal Mechgar mags. That's fucking awesome.
yeah.
So everybody's really excited about that. That's cool.
Well, here's
Um,
the thing that people kind of miss on a lot of this on this gun is kind of like what I said for like years. It's like when you have these 45 caliber frames trying to feed a 9mm. When you take a 45 caliber magazine like the old STI magazines and the Paramags, and then you're like trying to change the geometry and you're trying to change the follower and trying to make all the stuff magic so that they feed correctly. So now we've gone from a frame that's, yay thick to the proper dimensions for a 9mm to run a 9mm rack. It's like, and like Wilson Combat did it with their XD9s or XC9s or whatever they have them, whatever they call them.
The EDC
EDC9
thing that they made.
Yeah, the EDC9, that is really cool. That is a cool gun, but it doesn't take freaking Glock mags.
And it probably costs $4,000 because it's a Wilson Combat.
And these are 26, and maybe you can find them 22 at your Shields eventually.
The big thing is for me, they're doing just a bulk $800 off for anybody on their first responders program. So I think it's 25 and 27 right now for the 25 for the 4-inch and then 27 for the 4.5 with the sight block.
Stock retails 27 for the 4.5 and then 25 for the for the 4.
And then they're just doing $800 off for all cops, which is pretty good. If it's under 2,000, that's solid, honestly.
Yep.
And I'm really curious about it. I'm probably going to buy one and play with it for science.
Objectively, is $2,000 for their duty pistol? That's normal for most cops?
I'm not going to have it as a duty pistol. I'm probably not going to use it as a duty pistol.
That's what they're trying to market their way into, right?
And maybe they will. Maybe it'll get there. But my biggest complaint with the old Staccatos was I liked the guns. The duty holsters, though, were not good.
But that's not them. That's Safariland or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
But the problem is if any gun that you try to push as a duty gun, you better fucking have a duty holster, and it drives me insane.
Right.
Because you can't. It's not. You just can't have a quote unquote duty gun, and then they'll be like, "Oh, Safariland doesn't. We don't have a holster for it yet.
Yeah,
we don't have any holsters for it." I'm like, "Well, then how the hell is it a duty gun? Because it can't be a duty gun if I don't have a way to carry it on duty." And that's actually one of the main reasons why I went back to the Glock for duty is just because they have the best holster out there right now for duty. And in my opinion, I actually think that's a little bit more important than the gun.
Yeah.
And so if they can come out with a good holster, then I think I'd be interested in it for duty. But I'm more interested in it just for fun and for science. And then that sight block one looks really cool.
The 4.5 with the sight block, like, so it is cool that they're doing forward irons on them now to get the optic as far back as possible. Like,
Well, and it's low. It's a
it's
low
very
mount.
low. It's very low.
No more plates. No more plates. They're doing the Springfield Echelon
The
type
AOS
mounting.
or whatever type thing.
No, so the AOS it's a different plate for every single thing. Like Smith and Wesson, Echelon. There's a bunch of the newer cuts
The
are
Ruger,
basically
the one that has the drop-in recoil post. So you open it up, you have your RMR tapped spots, your Delta Point tap spots, your RMSC tap spots, and then you have a bunch of other holes where you're dropping recoil posts in those holes. And so you, instead of having like the Shadow Systems one where you put like a back plate and then just try to center it yourself, now you have the recoil bosses on there to actually set the optic in, and then the drill tap right in there. So it's a 2-screw
that
option.
And it's better because it's not the 4 screws, because the 4 screws we've all kind of seen issues with that. It's not ideal. Direct mill is best, and so this is essentially a direct mill multi-optic compatible system, and so I'm excited about that. What I really want, I want the next version, because right now they have the P4, which is no sight block. Then they have the P4.5, which is the sight block edition.
Mm-hmm.
I want whatever's going to come next. That's going to be like the P5, I'm guessing, where it actually has an integrated comp on there, like the Staccato XC. It has to be the next step because it makes perfect sense. All they'd have to do is make that sight block a little bit thicker and then cut a big ass hole in it, and bam, you have a quote unquote duty Staccato XC, and that sounds awesome. That sounds, I would be 100% into that.
Well,
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, the other kind of cool thing that is neat about it, so like you knock off the iron sights and you have the 4.5, you still have weight at the front of that crown barrel at the end of the muzzle.
right.
So that's less reciprocating mass, bigger crown barrel. Cool. The other part that's really interesting too is that it is for better or worse not a 2011 anymore. Right? So Dave Blanton did a very good video as the 2011 irrelevant, which he makes pretty much the case that the 2011 is irrelevant now with the shorter framed guns that are actually built around the caliber. Check it out. But the thing that's cool about it is like they are taking a gun and they're going to charge basically what is going to be a custom shop price for, here's the gun, we got to fit the safety, we got to tune the extractor, and this gun, my guess, is going to have probably, at least some billet or some forged parts or something in there, some billet parts, maybe some MIM in that gun, but there's not going to be almost no fitting for that gun.
No.
External,
there's no MIM, I know that, and it's all CNC billet steel.
And then so there's probably going to be almost no fitting for that gun on that kind of frame and chassis. Like that's the cool thing from them. And so if you see them, like if they're putting out the $800 off MSRP to get it in the cop's hands, like they're not taking a loss on those. Maybe they're trying to break even to get them in the law enforcement hands so everyone can kind of see them out there. But that is a substantial leap forward. And the crazy thing is, it completely makes their entire other lineup.
That's
their
the weird part.
Their lineup is gone.
They had the original Staccatos, then they have the new like C models that have their own unique magazines, unique their very own proprietary mags, the C and the CS. And now they're coming out.
C at the Armory. That's actually a really
they're really
nice
cool
gun.
guns.
Oh, the C's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I kind of want one.
The C's absolutely fantastic, and so that's why it's really curious to be like, okay, and now you're going to come out with this new model that's doing Glock mags with updated everything. You're kind of killing the rest of your lineup.
Yeah,
they're basically doing a Hudson. Like where Hudson came out with that steel frame gun, and then next year they're like, oh, we're gonna make an aluminum one, and their sales dried up and they went out of
because
business.
everyone waited. Well, and the whole I think here's the example that there's nothing new under the sun. It seems like it's kind of hard to find those Staccato C magazines and getting the gun to kind of run off those magazines. This is like the old Bren 10 thing where it was just like you have a Bren 10. It's like, great. Everyone wants this Bren 10. We got this 10 millimeter CZ75. And there was like, okay, here's an IOU in the box for your magazine. And like, you you cannot engineer your way out of a supply line thing. And like, if they're getting out, like the one thing probably they don't want to really do anymore is be in the magazine game.
Yeah.
And now they're not in the magazine game, and they're making a pistol that they're charging the same price for as their P, which takes way less effort and work to probably put in, and it's probably going to fit better for most people's hands and run better, once they get all the kinks worked out. Like, I saw it and I was like, okay, but like really looking at it and studying the thing, it's like this thing is, and it's drop safe so they can get into contracts. Like this is the nail in the coffin for a lot of the other mid-range 2011 guys now.
Yeah, but people that I mean, and USPSA practical shooting is a very, very tiny subset of the shooting population. I understand that. So just saying that's right there. But people playing our game, they're not going to buy the Series 80.
Maybe.
There's no reason to. No, they're not. Okay, I mean, your argument is the same as saying, "Hey, let's go buy a CZ75 Omega." No,
the question
it's a shittier trigger. You can't
remove it? Can you take it out? Who knows? And so that's a good question for the long term. Is like, is that going to be a removable part where you can make this trigger better? Is the trigger going to be actually much significantly worse? I don't know. And I'm not sure because everybody's referring to it as Series 80, but is it an actual like cult Series 80? Are they using that exact system
and stuff like that?
But have they created like their own variation of it? Like I know Kimber did their own variation of the Series 80, and so is that everyone's? I'm hearing a lot of chatter, but I haven't seen any pictures of the inside.
Yep.
And so I'm very curious to find out if it's a genuine like basic ass Series 80. That won't be super great. But if it's their own variation of it and it doesn't affect the trigger, I don't see why you wouldn't have it. I mean, it's not like it's hurt. If it doesn't hurt it, I don't see why. What's wrong with it?
Well, here's
and I have a Series 80 1911, and I have a Series 70. Very similar guns, both made by Colt, and there is a difference between the 70 and 80. There is. It's just, but I never felt that the Series 80 was like so like this is the worst thing ever. I hate this gun kind of bad. But in our game, in our world, I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely want the Series 70 because it was just it's easier to work on. There's less moving parts and stuff to break.
Yeah, but the majority of the guns that people are going out there and buying, like besides 2011s and CZ Shadow 2s, they all have firing pin blocks on them, and so every other gun that's not those that's being competed with in USPSA has a firing pin block. The other part is like if this is a new frame, it would not be impossible for them to engineer a firing pin block that does not bug everybody else.
Doesn't suck.
Yeah, a Glock or something like a minimal amount of travel to remove it, or they could do it like what the M&P did back at the day with the firing pin block was all the way back right by the sear underneath the rear sight. And so you didn't really feel that push up on that firing pin block until right about at the break. Like they could do a lot of things with that thing.
This is the first time that I've actually wanted to go to SHOT Show, and it would literally just be to go fondle this gun.
Right.
And go to the range day and play with it at the range. So I'm very curious to hear reports. I'm sure we'll hear reports on is the trigger dog shit. Like, what do we think, guys? And it also supposedly has a new recoil system in it. And so I'm curious about that as well. It really seems like I don't want to say they redesigned or replaced, but it really seems like they changed the fuck out of this Staccato, and so it really seems like it's a new gun, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would not doubt it if they went to like a double like flat wire or double coiled recoil system. in their guns.
Yeah, and they might have, and I'm very curious to see about it, because if you look around on YouTube, there's only like 1 or 2 videos, and it's obviously it's a shill at shill things, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, or I don't know, but it's
Well, and
not
that's
like it's at a Staccato event, it's at a Staccato marketing, like everybody, like it was the secret release party, but nobody else has dropped videos, which is kind of, that's the one thing that has made me a little suspicious, is because I know there was a giant Staccato event. I know a lot of people were invited. I know a lot of people went, but I'm only seeing one video from that release party, which is a little weird, because most of the time, if you have a big release party, everything hits on the embargo day. And so you have like 15, 20, 30 videos that you can pick from of
Unless
dudes talking about it, unless it's dog shit. If it's dog shit, then nobody's gonna freaking touch it.
or you don't have the guns. So like this is what would happen back in the day with the SHOT Show is they would send you out with the prototype and they would say, "Hey everybody, this is what we have." And like there was plenty of guns that I remember came out in like 2004, 2005. I remember seeing the FNX in 45 and it being like, sorry, the FNP at the time. And I remember, "Wow, I would really like to buy this gun," and
Right.
call around, or the F2000 or the SIG 556 or something like that. Like call around. Do you have this? Like nobody has this. You know why? Because it was freaking phantomware, and the models that they got enough orders, they would finally produce, and you'd see them 2 years later, but they had all announced the shit at SHOT Show. And so
Right.
like Staccato could be like, we want to make this year look good. We want to get out of the business of this, and they might have 8 guns that work, and they might
I don't
have
know.
because like
They're
otherwise,
taking orders later this month, so we'll
well,
see.
yeah, I mean if they're taking
if they're
orders.
taking orders, that means they don't have any.
Right, because you know what I would love to do? It's just like the Ruger RXM or something like I would like to go into Shields. Man, I have an erection for the Staccato HD P4.5. I'm going to go into my Shields today with a credit card and go buy this thing. Oh, it does not exist yet in Shields.
Right.
Like they know they're going to need a bunch of them. My guess is like they probably don't they probably have a few of them that they could take to shot, and they are waiting for the orders to come flying in on the thing. But if if it works, they have a winner in their hand, and it's almost gotten this podcaster interested because if I can get a small framed kind of like 2011 that has all those kind of features, like I'm almost interested. And
Mm.
if it's as reliable as the Staccatos have been, where I'm not
And
playing
Robert's down because he wants lefty.
Mhm.
yeah, and it's
No, I
and
mean, like seriously, yeah. That's, I mean, I saw that thing, and then Jared sent me some pictures and a link to it, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I would do this
yeah,
because it's the next generational step of what the 2011s in my book should be. I mean, as soon as they can get a magazine release to work for a lefty, that's, I mean,
Are
basically
you
like shut up and
gonna
take my money.
are you gonna go for the sight block one or the normal one for you two?
side block.
I'd get the
If
side block.
if I'm gonna go ham, we're going full Easter ham.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and I've lived with Andrea long enough to know that if I buy the lesser thing, she's just going to get mad at me because she knows that eventually I'm going to buy the better thing. So I usually just buy the better thing right off the bat. That
well,
it's dumb, but that's just kind of how our world is.
and
Mr. Ranger Lariat over there.
if it's going to if
Hey,
it's
she wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong.
and if
She's never ever been wrong about those things. Like I always try and cheat my way into something. Like, oh, I'll get the single stage lead, then the turret, then the progressive, then I'll get this, and eventually she's like, why don't you just save your money and get the one thing, get the one thing that you really really are eventually are going to get anyway, and just you'll spend less money doing it. Just get the thing you really really want. Don't try and half-ass your way into it.
well that's
She's not wrong.
well that's the Prodigy thing. Like if you can get a Staccato that runs like a Staccato, like it's never going to run like a Glock. But if it's as reliable and has the customer service, and you ship him back and get a good RMA label that Staccato is producing, then why am I going to spend the 12 or 1300 on the Prodigy and mess around with that thing to kind of get that thing going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if we start seeing these things on the street for 2200. Even, I mean, still like $600 more than like you'd get like a platypus or something like that. But you're
I
talking.
actually played with a kitted out platypus the other day. One of the other instructors at Post, he had done a full build platypus where he sent it over to Monsoon Tactical, and they did their fancy pants chunk port with the ported barrel as well.
Yeah.
And so he was like, dude, I'm not even $2,000 into this. And
Wow.
it shot really good.
Yeah.
Like I was having a blast with it, just ripping out splits, and they're all getting hits on the, in the A zone. And I'm like, this is not bad at all.
Yeah, but
No,
stealth
I think
arms
there's a
is
lot
gonna
of
fill a department though.
Huh?
Staccato stealth arms can't fill a department, like that, but
Well, yeah.
Staccato can. That's for sure.
Staccato
I'm
is the manufacturing, and so I really think if, from what I understand, I talked to some people about this, and from what I understand, there were specific requests done by federal agencies, and this is what they wanted. They wanted the grip safety removed. They wanted it drop safe. They wanted Glock magazine compatible, because they basically said, "Hey, what's your wish list gun?" And they said, "Well, this is what we want. We'd want irons forward. We'd want this, we want this, we'd want this, we want it to be ambidextrous." This is literally like if you took some cop or tactical Timmy fella and said, "Give me your wish list gun." And the only difference is going to be, I would want barrels that I can put the normal barrel in. And if I want to, I could take that out, put the sight block in. If I want to, I could take that out, put the comp in. And if that's possible, this gun is going to sell like a motherfucker,
right.
because that would be cool.
I think in the end, I mean, since it's not a SIG, I'm gonna wait till Dave Blanton actually gets his hands on one, and he'll probably give a decent.
He's
honest
probably
review.
probably already handled it at the Staccato release party, the pre-release thing, and so I don't see why he wouldn't have been invited. But you never
Yeah.
know. You never know with companies and who they invite to these release events.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
He's gonna sign the NDA on it when it freaking chokes. Robert.
Well, we had our indoor match, and that was fun. Then we had the outdoor match, and I went for about 5 minutes and then went home because that was not fun. You can hear about that on the Patreon side. But in between that, I got a text. I think it was Friday from Steve, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to buy some primers?" And I'm like, "How many?" And he's like, "How many would you like?" And I'm like, "How many do you have?" And he says, "Well, I'm ordering 25,000." And I'm like, "How much?" He says, "For like $42 a thousand." I'm like, "I too will order that many." And um, he kind of texts me a little later. He's like, I changed my mind. I'm out. But here's the text from the guy who is selling them. And he sends me this text. And there's a local guy who used to shoot with us a while back. And he's selling, what was it? Like, I don't know. It was like 300,000 CCI. No, shoot. It was 250,000 CCI and a million Gen X primers.
What? What? A million.
So, I mean, cash only, local pickup kind of thing. I'm like, ha, 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 ha. I could use some of that.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I'm gonna get me some primers. I don't need them, but on principle, I'm gonna buy them.
But he's gonna stock up.
I'm not
Uh-huh.
buying primers.
Well, that's the other thing is, so
I hate
he's.
reloading.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why you use big sticks. But in addition to that, he's selling. I don't remember. It was like 300,000, 115 grain projectile, not projectiles, actual bullets, legit loaded bullets, just tons and tons of stuff. And I don't know why. I haven't been able to really kind of ask him why he's getting rid of it all. But the long and short of it is,
I also texted him.
there's a
and
lot of stuff.
I'm gonna buy some loaded ammo, but he also said he can't get anyone to buy the damn 40. And it's like good spear 180 grain 40, and he's selling it for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't get anyone to buy this. I'm like, sorry, I don't know anybody who would want 40. I mean,
Everybody,
maybe Enoch. He's the only guy I can think of that I know who's still shooting limited.
Well, I can tell you right now. I mean, if the people like Andy Erickson would probably buy it because it's cheap, and it's cheap, and if he's going to be doing the L10 game, that stuff's guaranteed to make major.
And when we say cheap, we're talking half price.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah,
That's real good price. Basically, think of pre-COVID pricing,
cheaper.
and and knock a bit off that, and that's about where you're at. Because what he's selling it for, like, I know when he was active, and I know when he would have bought that stuff, and I guarantee you he's making hand over fist bank. And that's cool. I'm totes happy for him, because that was a damn fine investment. But yeah, I mean, that selling 115 grain projectile 9mm projectiles for what, 5 cents a piece?
Yep.
Just crazy train, absolutely crazy train. And so I'm excited. I may not buy them. I may buy them and just get rid of them, because I just don't need any more primers. Is that a weird thing to say? I'm like, I just don't need that many. At a
You
certain
don't need
point,
any more primers yet.
yeah, I know, but it's like, I mean, all of that crap right there, it's gonna take me most of my life to go through, and yeah, it's just weird. But yeah, I think we'll pick up some of those. But that is a rare time. 1.25 million primers. I thought 100,000 was a lot. That's crazy train.
No,
You always think that your collection is nice until you meet someone. You meet a big fish.
Yeah.
to meet
Yeah.
people who are serious.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
damn.
no.
Yeah. I mean, I always had it in my head. I'm like, maybe this is a little bit like over, like too much.
I thought I spent a lot of money on Pokemon cards.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, that's when you get your wife and you're like, hey, honey, it could have been worse. I could have been that guy.
Yeah.
Problem is, I told that same
I
thing
have
to
a neck.
Andrea. I told that to Andrea, and she's like, so what I'm hearing you say is we could sell all of your stuff off and make money. No, Andrea, that's not
exactly
what I'm
what I
saying.
said,
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah. Well, it's time for someone to go out there and buy some used 40 caliber pistol and just practice the hell out of that, and have a good time.
Yeah, but I mean, Jared's right though. I mean, that's damn good. Those are damn good bullets.
Yeah.
I mean, they're legit good. That's good quality stuff. And yeah, nobody wants 40 anymore.
Jared?
I didn't do shit.
Good for you. Well, he also didn't do shit with a Dominate Defense belt on. So head on over to Dominate Defense, use promo code PARA10, and save 10% off your belt that you're not going to do anything with. Well, some of you will. You'll go out there and shoot matches with their Mach 1 speed belt or concealed carry with their concealed carry belt, and check out American Operator Gear. Have a fantastic time doing that. Also, check out Rune Tactical. Get a +1 in your gun for all of your special needs. This trigger's not resetting correctly after I did my trigger job, so I got to figure that out. But that's not Rune Tactical's fault. Get a +1 in the gun. Fantastic. Use promo code PARA10 save save 10% off your order, and then check out W74 Guide Rods, where you can amp up the weight in your gun with a couple ounces up front with guide rods and spring selections, weighted batteries, and everything you need to tune the recoil via weight on your handgun that you want. Check them out. Use promo code PARA10 and save 10% off your order. Telegram. You ask questions, we try to give us an answer, and Robert informed you about the problem.
We delete the chat.
We delete the channel.
Somehow. I still don't know what happened, and nobody's gotten back to me.
We were infiltrated.
Yeah, but by who? Who cares? Who cares
Trump.
about a crappy? Well, I mean,
Trump found us. Run.
Trump, yeah, but Trump just brought back the Tic Tacs. So I mean,
because he likes sexy dancing girls.
Hey, you know what? I've never used TikTok, but TikTok, fuck, I've never used TikTok, but honestly, how is TikTok worse than like Facebook? If you can't really, I mean, other than like like one's an American company, one's a Chinese company, and if you can't like
That's
argue
it.
that for me, I don't care. I mean,
That's literally it. It's just one's from China land and one's from the motherland.
cool. We got Team Red versus Team Blue. I
Yeah.
love team politics. So, from Sebastian Munoz, I have a Slickster plate carrier with ceramic plates and a front flap triple PMAG holder. What else would I need on my plate carrier for when the Chinese invade?
Speaking of, I like the dangler platforms. That's something also that Faro Concept sells. It is a little pouch that goes underneath the flap, and so you have like the vest here, and then there's a little pouch that can go underneath the vest. And I keep medical equipment and like hand warmers, and that's what I do on my plate carrier. But honestly, that's really it. All you need is extra mags and a medical pouch, and that's it. That's an active shooter rig. Now, the follow-up question is, if you actually are using it for serious stuff, you're going to have to do comms. You're going to have to do all that, which that is an entire new show series in a show. And so
It's called T-Rex Talks.
yeah, honestly, I would go over to T-Rex Arms and find out how they do their comm systems, and that's going to be the most important thing, is actually being able to talk to whoever.
Actually, did you guys see the T-Rex Talks? I can't remember. Not Lucas, Isaac Bakken. He actually put out a 4-part series about the ATF in the past week or so. If you haven't seen it, it's so well worth it. I mean, I'm going to TLDR for you. The ATF sucks.
In a surprise to literally no one.
No one.
But yeah, I really like the Faro Concept Slicksters are great. Triple placard and then a med kit, and I always had the med kit in that little dangler pouch. I also up armored it. I put a little bit of Kevlar in there, and so that was what I did. But that was for SWAT stuff. Kind of is up to you, but there's that, and then there's also guys will get tube danglers where they actually go on the backside of the pouch where they hangs below the plate, and it's this little tube where you can just rip out an entire med kit out of there, and that's a little bit nicer for when you're like running and stuff, because the only problem with the up front dangler is it kind of bounces like this if you run around, and so it's not popular for like tactical games or those type of things. But like for SWAT, it was nice because we didn't really run ever. If we had to run, we did something wrong. So
Yep. Doesn't the Slickster
there's lots of options.
have the cummerbund that has the elastic pouches around the side, and like
Well,
you can
get
stuff
different.
yeah, you can
different
stuff a lot of
cummerbund, but-
medical stuff into those too, and those actually keep it mostly
See,
all right.
I've tried that, and I had like where I had combat gauze and like hyphen chest shields or whatever on the side, and I found that when you actually start moving around and doing like up or down drills, working around a car, your shit will start falling out, and so I went away from that because that's what I used to have when I first started, and then I went to a dedicated actual med pouch on either a back dangler or a front dangler.
Awesome.
From Itzik, with SHOT Show 2025 starting tomorrow, is there a chance that Bull Armory will announce something more substantial than just color changes to their product and name changes?
Didn't they come out with their XC?
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought they announced their version of the XC because I know like Mac, they announced an XC, and I think that the rumor mill was that Bull Armory was going to come out with their variation of a single port integrated comp. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I remember seeing something that they had released something. My problem is I can't see on their website. I mean, they have their TAC comp. Maybe that's the new thing that's coming out. Yeah, it's a fixed comp single port. That might be it.
My issue is it doesn't really matter what Bull Armory comes out with. It's like you can never find one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always like unobtainium.
Well, you have to basically order them direct without touching them, sight unseen.
Yeah, that's the problem, and I get it. They're maybe all of their guns are going to fight the war in Israel right now, Hamas, but at the same time, I mean, like if you're gonna introduce and produce a gun, I mean, it'd be nice to actually see it on the street somewhere because they're nice guns. I mean, I've seen people with bull guns and they're very nice. It's a high quality gun. I mean, I'd love to have one, but I can never seem to find the damn things. When I was actually looking for a little bit, yeah, I couldn't find one, and it was just it is. I mean, it is what it is, and so now the ship has mostly sailed. But
I was interested in actually buying a Bull Armory TAC Pro EDC. That's the 425 with the V8 ports, I believe. But honestly, now with this new Staccato coming out, I'm just gonna wait on that. And my big question is, should I buy the front sight model, the sight block model, or wait until they come out with the comped model? Because they have to be coming out with a comped model. It might be next year, though. That's the thing that would suck.
Well, this is you, and so
I'm probably gonna buy it.
Well, you don't have a problem selling off guns that you want to move on.
What are you talking about? I've never sold a gun in my life.
Oh, that's right. You don't have a problem losing guns to the evidence locker. No, I mean, but like
that's even worse.
Shh. No, but if you're not worried about just turning guns over and stuff like that, get the thing that you're going to enjoy. Get the thing that you will enjoy now, and then down the road you can make that decision. Because
especially with the
honestly,
$800 off,
I could sell that. Is pretty good.
I could sell that any day, every day. Hell,
that's true.
Probably to either one of you.
This is also true for the $800 off.
Right
now.
I mean, like I'm
still trying to figure out how to get my first responder status to get this initial gun.
just draw a ID badge and say Robert Wyatt, police man.
Federal police.
Totally would work.
Yeah, I would just get the 4.5, like just get the sight block model right now and just run with that for a little bit. But I definitely would probably give if you put in your order now, maybe you get a 4 or 5 month back wait on there. Maybe they'll have the issues fixed by then. But I don't know. Like this is
even if they don't though, Tommy, they'll fix it. I mean, Staccato will fix their shit.
Yeah, they can.
I mean, especially for coppers. They're not going to do it for dirty gamers, but they'll fix their stuff.
Peasants.
Yeah. They'll absolutely do it. They would definitely do it for Jared, because all Jared has to do is like just send him an email from his UTLE handgun championship, and they're like, "Oh shit, we'd better not piss this guy off."
Yeah, well, unless they do the same thing that a lot of people did, meets factory standards, send it back. Must be your ammo if they want to play that game. If they really have a bad product, like people have got around that for a while.
Did you Dremel on this, Tom?
No. No. I just need a new
I don't even know the meaning of the word.
No, that was Troy.
I just need a factory trigger bar. That's all I need.
All I know is that I was playing that Ace VR game, and I did one of the drill scenario, whatever thing they call, and like it pops up your rank and like Robert Wyatt, Troy Morgan.
Oh really? I didn't know Troy had one. I have to go over to his house.
I didn't either, but now I'm kind of wondering if I beat him. Well, I know I beat him, but kind of wonder if it was him I beat.
He's gonna see your name. He's gonna go, that motherfucker.
Guess he was getting pulled over.
Yeah, he's gonna camp out. He's gonna get you.
Let's see. Last question from JT. What do you think about the RXM, the Ruger Magpul 9mm? What firearm-related accessory do you wish someone would make? All I'm gonna say is those fuckers have been teasing us for the past like 4 or 5 years. I want my damn waffle iron. If Magpul does not come out with a waffle iron, I'm going to be pissed. And every year that they don't come out with it, I'm going to keep asking them, where's the waffle iron? Because they said they were going to make it.
Well, I think they're coming out with that folding machine gun, right? The folding submachine gun. I think that
thing's awesome.
They've messed around with that concept for almost 20 years now. And so
I wonder if they're using the Ruger, because the Ruger is the
fire control.
It's the modular system, right? I wonder if they're using that.
They probably
to make
are.
That work. And if that's the case, I so want one of those.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna literally take that fire control unit and make a chassis of the folding machine gun or whatever, I think the RXM is tragically slept on, because I think it's a branch, and most likely Flux is already working on something with it. Like it is.
A chassis Glock system makes a lot of sense for Flux.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense for everybody. I mean, the problem is with the chassis systems. I mean, you're really just dealing with the P320, and like the P320 does not inspire a whole lot of confidence with people. I mean,
I mean,
not only is it
arguably
not
the
reliable, but
we
it's also
make,
a shitty trigger.
well, I mean, the hard thing about the SIG is reputation, right? I mean, once you develop a reputation for X, Y, or Z, it's damn near impossible to get rid of it. And SIG, by and large, has fixed the problems that they had in their initial generation of 320s. But at this point, everybody just looks at a SIG and is like, yeah, it's not drop safe. It's not even holster safe.
Well, you could
And
tell me
so,
they're fixed today, and I would still go like, well, I don't want to buy 20 mags.
yeah, no, I
Glock.
get it. It just sucks. And SIG is a good company for by all like measuring metrics and stuff like
Eh.
that. But I think a Glock version of the Raider is pretty effing awesome.
I know
Yeah.
they're working on it. I know they have been working on it for a long time, and that was their next project.
Yeah,
Once they did the 320 Raider, they did the 365 Raider, and from what I understand, their next project is the Glock Raider.
if they can make that with the Gen 4 ambi controls, that's perfect to me.
Is the RXM ambi?
It
It is
no,
not.
it's built on a Gen
3?
3.
It's a Gen 3,
Okay,
Gen
so-
4 design. Well,
Yeah, I mean that's a matter of time, right? I mean they've got to do it eventually.
there's trying to think how. Yeah, it's probably not likely that somebody's going to come up with a ambi control for Gen 3 or Gen 4, because there's just not the way that trigger bar works and the way that the Gen 5 runs around the front. But there's no reason that a charging handle on a Flux Raider or something like that wouldn't be ambi to begin with. But the
Yeah.
RXM, like if you're right-handed and you're cheap, you're getting the RXM for that reason. It still has that same optics cut that the Staccato, the new Staccato has, so you're kind of set there. But I think it's a really cool gun, and if you're a right-handed shooter and you want a Glock 19 size gun and it's gonna shoot pretty much like a Glock, and you want to do a bunch of stuff with it, I think it's kind of a cool option.
I mean, heck,
people to get into.
even as a lefty, it's still a fantastic gun.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I've always
I don't
thought
know.
that
I
think
just say it's
Ruger-
another Glock.
it's the chassis. That
Yeah,
it's the F.
The
it's
chassis is
FCU.
what's
That's
more
what makes
exciting.
it really cool.
The actual gun itself is like, okay,
I mean, it's
No, I agree. But I think that's the neat aspect of it is because I think Ruger actually builds good hardware, like
They
their revolvers. The hardware itself is actually quite good, but the aesthetics and just kind of the fit and finish is usually where Ruger kind of falls apart. And so, if they built an FCU that actually is legit, it works, and the Glock system is pretty damn bulletproof, and you put it into something like a Glock frame kit, and especially with the briefcase gun, that's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of potential for that.
But honestly, if you want kind of a no nonsense kind of way of getting around stuff, you just buy the Glock. I mean, you just buy the Glock, but you're buying the RXM because you can have a Glock, and like it is a cool platform to kind of just throw an optic on and screw around with any optic you want. But besides that, like if you're looking for an actual Glock 19, just buy the Glock 19. I think you'll be better served that way.
or buy a HK USP compact.
And then spend 3 times the money to get to a Glock.
Twice the money to get the clock and half the features, baby. That's right.
I gotta get going though, guys. Sorry.
All right,
No, it's good time anyway.
Well, anyways, thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. We'd like to thank you guys for doing what you can. Please search the new PARAcast channel, and you can do that. You'll see a picture of me shooting a VP9 on it, and we'll get that replaced as soon as we can. Anyways, thanks for doing all that. For Robert Wyatt and Jared Stepp, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Doot.